the future look like for these kinds of tests? Dr. Borman says with DNA testing becoming
The
less...
subject's blood didn't match any known profile. Not type A, not B, not AB, and definitely not O. At 4:12 a.m., beneath a classified biomedical lab carved into the granite underbelly of Lake Baikal, a lone geneticist stepped back from the sequencer, trembling. "This doesn't come from us," she whispered. 30 minutes later, the lab sealed. Vault gene was activated, a black-level protocol. No contact in, no evidence out. Because if the blood traced back to the tribes of the Americas, then everything we knew about human evolution just collapsed. It started with a dormant signal, an echo buried inside a deprecated Soviet satellite array near Lake Baikal. The Institute for Human Genomic Defense, IHGD, a covert coalition of US, Canadian, and Japanese military biogeneticists, had been monitoring fringe DNA readings from deep ice samples pulled in late 2024. One file, marked 09 Astlan, was rerouted to Geneva, then scrubbed, but a backup copy survived, tagged anomalous by the US Air Force's Sentinel BioNet. That anomaly triggered Echo Protocol, a standing order to deploy Task Unit Sabre 5, a 4-nation Black Ops recovery team trained in biological containment, cultural cloaking, and terrain denial ops. Sabre 5's insertion point, 14 miles southwest of Baikal's southern basin. Mission clock, 0300 Zulu, January 14, 2025. Objective, recover the genome sample, neutralize any leaks, contain all witnesses. They weren't told the full scope, only that a blood trait once thought extinct, seen only in select indigenous tribes from the Americas, was identified in a Siberian corpse dated 18,400 years ago, and that the implications weren't evolutionary, they were geopolitical. No uniforms, no flags, no insignias. Sabre 5 deployed under the guise of an environmental contamination response team, one of dozens frequently seen in the Baikal region. To misdirect satellite tracking, a decoy team in hazmat suits performed a radiation cleanup drill 2 miles east, while the real unit advanced westward beneath the tree canopy using active thermal cancellation camo. Drones flew in from NATO-labeled science weather platforms, masking their data links as meteorological transmissions. Real-time jamming was localized to avoid triggering Russian military AI watcher protocols. A disinformation packet was simultaneously seeded across Russian darknet forums, falsely attributing seismic readings near the lab to routine mining blasts. Inside the region, bribes flowed. A local radio station ran a heritage broadcast on native Buryat myths, designed to distract attention from the unusual military traffic. The true goal was silence, because beneath that frostbitten lake wasn't just a lab. It was a time-locked vault, sealed in 1993, long before the genome race began. A vault whose contents had been genetically tagged with an origin signature, one no modern database could trace. Sabre 5 moved fast. At 0317, Zulu, a modified MHX Silent Hawk, breached Siberian airspace under radar, flying nap of the Earth with encrypted terrain masking courtesy of DARPA's Ghost Mesh. On board, Commander Reese, USAF, Spec Bio, Dr. Aiko Tanaka, JMSDF, Gene Retrieval, Lieutenant Mendez, Canadian Armed Forces, Cold Terrain Infiltration, and 2 private sector contractors with Level 9 medical clearance and no national ID tags. They dropped just outside the blast radius of the original Baikal ice vault. Air support peeled off. Satellite surveillance froze. All further contact cut. On the ground, guided by an ancient map tattooed across a recovered corpse from Montana, and a fractured obsidian shard believed to be part of a Neolithic medical tool. The team navigated toward the vault entrance using biosignal triangulation, an experimental method using protein decay to locate organic matter. What they found at 0344 was a blood trail, still warm, still oxygenated, leading into a corridor that shouldn't have existed. Inside the subterranean tunnel, Sabre 5 advanced through 27 meters of permafrost until they reached a carved granite door marked in 3 languages: ancient Turkic, Olmec glyphs, and Cree syllabics, a failsafe triggered. The room lit up in red spectrum biofluorescence, responding to the team's blood type scans. All but one passed. Commander Reese's scanner blinked yellow. He wasn't compatible. Aiko stepped forward, her hand trembling, offering her blood into the intake port. The chamber unlocked. Inside, not a cryochamber or gene vault, but a humanoid figure, perfectly preserved, male, mid-30s, skin unbroken, veins visible, still red. The biometric scanner pulsed. Subject's blood type O9 null, a variant not registered in any human population post-Ice Age. Behind the chamber was a console running a Soviet-era gene sequencer still pulsing. The screen displayed a real-time comparison. Match found 99.89%, with a living sample catalogued 2 months ago in Harb, Montana. Name: Crawford, descendant of the Blackfeet Nation, and the man whose blood sample had triggered Vault Gene in the first place. Command back at Beale Air Force Base, authorized Watchtower Protocol. 2 F-35s scrambled over Kamchatka under the guise of Arctic reconnaissance. Their real job: redirect orbital attention away from Baikal's southern grid. At high altitude, a drone cluster deployed a jamming sphere, an invisible net 12 kilometers wide, spoofing any thermal, UHF, or synthetic aperture scans aimed at the lake basin. Inside the vault, Sabre 5 continued streaming heartbeat data and gene readings to a mobile bionode embedded in Reese's collarbone. But the signals weren't one way. Something in the chamber responded. Pulse rates climbed. The humanoid's eyes twitched, then opened. Not dead, not asleep, stored. And the match with Crawford, it wasn't coincidence, it was activation. Within minutes, foreign systems lit up. A Chinese spy satellite shifted orbit. Russian cyber units flagged unrecognized biopings. A rogue drone unit near the Mongolian border altered course. The Pentagon greenlit Red Ice Protocol, a kinetic electronic suppression package. At 0409, a low-Earth jammer launched from Diego Garcia spiked Baikal's ionosphere, blanking surveillance over a 300-mile radius. Simultaneously, Cyber Command released Project Darkroot, a data mirage masking the genome spike as a false flag radioactive bloom from an abandoned uranium mine. Across the hemisphere, anyone watching saw nothing. Inside, Mendez found a sealed cylinder labeled Lineage Proto-Amerindian 09, a blood sample, still viable. Reese ordered immediate extraction, but not before Tanaka slipped a second vial into her coat. No one saw, not even the biometric vault. As the team prepped for exfil, the humanoid figure inside the cryochamber, designation, subject, Theta Aslan, sat upright. Vitals stabilized. Blood pressure rising. Brainwave activity, normal. Then it spoke. Not in English, not Russian, but in a language none of the team recognized until Mendez's translator flagged partial matches to pre-Columbian phonemes, Nahuatl derivatives, mixed with Athabascan cadence. Aiko moved closer. The subject extended his arm. Scanner read, blood type O9 negative. DNA sequence, 87% match with Crawford. And then He spoke again, in perfect English. I remember. With that, the vault's inner wall slid open, revealing a star map etched in red ochre, connecting Lake Baikal, Harb, the Andes, and a point deep in the Amazon, marked simply Origin. Commander Reese triggered a 5-minute failsafe detonation. Whatever this was, it was no longer a recovery mission. It was containment. Sabre 5 exfiltrated via subsurface channel, reaching a NATO recon sub under Baikal's crust. Reese sent one encrypted message to command. Subject active. Samples secure. Vault compromised. Back in Harb, Crawford vanished. No trace. No trail. 2 days later, his face appeared in a tribal mural painted centuries before European contact. Same jawline, same eyes, same blood. And Tanaka? She disappeared too. Off-grid, taking the second vial with her. The O9 gene didn't mutate. It hid. Not just in DNA, but in art, in legend, in songs whispered on smoke-filled nights across the Americas. Not a mutation, a message. One that outlived empires, disease, and time. One designed to wake when the bloodline returned home. Vault Gene wasn't a mission. It was a warning. And now, the warning's awake.